Live, where we have one amazing guest with a lot to say, and he certainly does. Our guest tonight is Bo Eason. He is a friend and someone who's such a leader that we had to have a talk. We had to deep dive it with Bo. And I have to tell you, everyone on this program, these are people that I know, love, and trust. These are people that really go out and make a difference out there every day. They are determined to constantly grow in the benefit of all of us, or for the benefit of us. Welcome, Bo, to the show.
Thank you, Kellyann. Great to be here.
Yeah, I'm so happy to see you. So even being around Bo makes me feel good and happy. And part of that is because I met Bo some time ago, and I was really at a place where I was looking for the next thing. And when I say the next thing is my next level of growth. And I saw Bo, I went to see him, he has workshops, and I went to Bo's workshop, and I saw him doing things and talking about things I had never heard of before, really getting into not only your mind, but your physicality. And that was really impressive to me, Bo. And one of the things that really warmed my heart the most was your relationship with your wife, Dawn.
Yeah.
Is she around? Because I want to say
yes.
Hi if she's around.
Yeah, she's here. Come on over, babe.
So
Kellyann wants to say hi.
Hi.
Hi. So this is Bo's wife, Dawn, and they have beautiful children. They have 3 wonderful children. And you know, they say that what you do in your personal life and how you behave in your personal life really is how you behave in all areas of your life. And I really struck me the strength that you both bring to each other. You just bring such strength, and I see leadership in your relationship. And I know Bo would always say to me, or say to everyone should have a Dawn. So tell me a little bit about how you maintain this strength and this love. I mean, how long have you been married? You've been married quite some time.
Yeah, we've been married 21 almost.
Almost 21.
Almost 21 years.
Yeah.
And they don't look old enough to be married that long.
When I met Dawn, when I saw her the first time, she was 19 and I was 33. And I saw her walk by, but I didn't see her face. So imagine that. I just saw this body moving in space freely that way, and her back was to me. And I was 33 at the time, so I had played in the NFL. I had had certain successes where I dated girls and didn't think I'd ever get married, right? And as she was walking away, I go like this, Kellyann, I go, I'm marrying that girl. And then she turned around. I said, I'm definitely marrying that girl.
Well, yeah, I would have to say that was a smart move. But you know, we all want that moment. We all want that moment. And really what it is, it's a complete certainty. It's when every fiber of your being just knows. Mm-hmm. So that feeling of saying, her, that's the one. And honestly, that has been encouraged throughout the years. She really is the one.
Yeah.
She really is. How did you develop that certainty in your body?
Yeah, that all comes from, well, maybe we can talk about this during while we're doing the interview or the talk tonight, is it Kellyann, like, I am in total touch with my primitive instincts, right? Like my raw animal instincts. Because if you're in the business that I was in, you're out of business if you're not in touch with your instincts. Right. So
I'm so curious about this, and let's talk about this. And thank you, Dawn, for coming out. Everyone had to meet your beautiful face, and children, and all of that. So we'll be speaking to you more. Thanks, Dawn. Yes. So I want to tell you about Bo. Bo is really an impressive man. He's a former NFL All-Pro. He's an actor. He's a playwright. He's a speaker. He's a best-selling author. He started his career in the NFL. And he continued on, oh my gosh, there's so much with San Francisco 49ers during his 5-year career. He ended up doing all kinds of things. He was the greatest player in his generation. And his football career ended, and he branched out into acting. He wrote a one-man play. I mean, he was in the NFL, then a one-man play. I can't, it's unbelievable to me. So it's called Run of the Litter, and it went on to Broadway. And now he does all kind of speaker and leadership coaching. And you know what? He has this book, and it's called There Is No Plan B, right? Yep. This book that there's so many good tidbits in this book that I want to share. You know, it's been on the bestseller list, USA Today, Wall Street Journal, Publishers Weekly, and it goes on and on. So let's talk about something that I want everyone to really hear. You've had so much success, and maybe that's why during this time right now, everyone is so encouraged to sit back, lay back, take it easy, let this thing ride out, put your fluffy slippers on, and let's go. But you have a very different attitude. You really feel like now more than ever may be the perfect time to lead. Why is that?
Well, it just, you know, look, we're always going to be faced with situations like this. Even though in our lifetime, this is the first one like this, there have been others, right? Whether it's, you know, devastating events that have happened in your life, deaths, earthquakes, tornadoes, 9/11, all sorts of things, right? And that is I always see those events as opportunities. I know it may sound weird to you, but when you become, or you say, like in my case, when I was a kid, I had this dream of being this NFL player, but I was small and I wasn't particularly good at the time, right? But you have to have this mindset that everything is working in your favor. So I then found out that, wow, since I'm small, maybe that's to my favor. And no one says that in the NFL, right? Oh, maybe because I'm not very good, maybe that is to my advantage someday. And as I got better and I improved, right, it was to my advantage. Then I went to a small school that didn't give any scholarships, so no one ever got drafted out of there, right? But I used that I said to myself, that is my advantage. When 9/11 happened, even though it was devastating, Dawn and I were in New York City. We landed on the 10th of September, went to bed at 8 o'clock in the morning. We were jumped out of our bed, awake, because the first jet went over the place we were staying in and just rumbled. And that was on a Tuesday. I was to perform my play in New York City on that Thursday for the first time in New York City. So we were going to do the play on a Thursday. 9/11 happens on Tuesday. Right when it happened, Kellyann, right when it happened, when I saw those planes hit the buildings, I said to myself, I just went like this, just like I do every single time. Okay. I know my job. I know my job. When this pandemic hit, I said to myself, I looked around at my family, I go, okay, I know my job. Because us, you and me, and all of us, everyone who's watching us right now, we're incredible. We just don't know it because no one speaks to us how we really are. They speak to who we aren't. But I'm going to speak to you right now how we actually are. And we are.
Is that part of creating your story? Is that all part of that?
Yeah. Yes, because listen, otherwise you're going to be telling a story that's false. Look, if you want to command Mother Nature, I didn't say this, somebody else smart said this. If you want to command Mother Nature, then you must obey her. So let's just talk about what Mother Nature has created here with you and me. So we're the best at adaptation. The dinosaurs aren't here. The saber-toothed tigers aren't here. We're here because we are the best species in the history of the planet at adaptation. That's who we are, right? And even before that, our ancestors were that, right? Even before we got to this planet. The day of our conception, Kellyann, your conception, my conception, and everybody here, some of you might not want to think about that day and what happened on that day, but we're going to do a little refresher course only because I want to remind you of who you are. So you're constantly with Mother Nature instead of against her. So on that day, 300 million sperm were delivered on that day, right? 300 million to 1 odds that you were born. 1 million years of design and evolution have taught 300 million sperm to do one thing. What is that one thing, everybody?
Give me a baby, give me a baby.
That one thing instinctually that we knew as sperm was to penetrate that egg, fertilize that egg. Do you think that that was a casual swim on that day?
No, I think that was the hard one. That was the tough swim. That was a
That no participation ribbons with that swim. It is a swim to the death, of which you were the ultimate competitor against 300 million to 1 odds. You competed, your instincts told you where to go, and you fertilized that egg. So that's who you are, just as a refresher course. So that's how, let's go forward with this now. Let's go forward with knowing that that's who we are. Because I got a feeling being in this pandemic and being shut down in your homes and watching the news, no one is speaking to who you are. That's who we are. So now, the news tells us that we're scared. Like they tell me that every time I turn it on. They tell me I'm scared to death and I'm fearful. And I'm like, you must not be talking to me because I don't feel fear. I know I'm not afraid. Right? And I know how that I'm cut from a certain cloth, which all of us are. And I know nobody's afraid that has a little bit of and remembers who they are and their DNA of who we are, and we're number one. So that's who we are. So now, let's put ourselves, Kellyann, I always do this. Let's put ourselves, we're out of the shutdown, right? So we're out in the pub, we're back to work, we're doing our things, we have our relationships, we're eating out, our businesses are thriving, our dreams are coming true. We're the best in the world at what we do, which is, I believe, is our birthright, because that's what Mother Nature tells me, and I don't go against her.
No, that's trouble. That's trouble.
She's undefeated, man. So I stick with her, right? So let's put all of ourselves, maybe a year from now, maybe 2, maybe 10 years from now, we're the best, we're the top in the world in our field, right? Let's put ourselves there. And your kids or your clients come to you, or friends come to you, and they go, what did you do during that shutdown? Remember many years ago, that coronavirus thing, remember that? How did you act? Who were you during those times? And you're either going to tell a story of regret and embarrassment of how you behaved, or you're going to tell a story that every good story is made of. You're going to tell a heroic story, somebody who faced death or sickness or bankruptcy or divorce. You're going to face those things, and you're going to get better through it. And you're going to get, that's why think that's how story is made, you guys. We're the ones creating our own story. We just have to put ourselves at the top of Mount Everest, then look back and see where we started, and see if we took one step and go, you know what, I thought this dream of climbing Mount Everest was a good one, but I'm a little chilly now that I took one step toward now. And now I'm a little hungry and a little kind of victim-y and whiny. So let's just end this thing now, this dream now. So you have no story to tell if that's how you're going to behave now during this shutdown.
But what about people, Bo, that are really feeling this? They're trying so hard to say, most people would coin it in terms that I want to think positive. I want to be positive, but they're thinking, I don't know when the end point is going to be. So I feel vulnerable. I feel uncertain. And, what about all these financial issues that people are really facing and enduring? Can they still put this no plan B in place? I know you talk about, you have simple life-changing techniques that really walk people through, like there's a letter writing exercise and such. Yeah. What can people do, like right now, if you were to say right now, this is what you need to do you can be a winner in your own story. How do we start? Yeah,
the first thing you have to do is declare, right? You have to declare what you want to be the best at. what your dream is, right? And you've got to get intimate with that declaration, no different. And we talked about the other night about the Declaration of Independence, which for 250 years, us Americans have kept that thing alive by the way we are being in the world. We walk free, we speak freely, we're on this live together freely. We can't do that in other places, right? No. So we bring the Declaration of Independence, somebody's dream. It wasn't our dream, it was someone else's vision. You and me bring it into existence every day. Well, let's do that with your vision, with your dream, by the way you're being in this shutdown. Because listen, all of you who are listening right now, all of you who are watching right now, let me ask you one simple question. Have you always, no matter what your age is, have you always come through for yourself, despite what the heck happened? Whether it was 9/11, whether it was the death of a parent or a child, whether it was a bankruptcy, whether it was 3 bankruptcies, whether it was divorce, whether it was the death of a child. Did you tell me, you answer it. Did you always come through for yourself? Or did you just quit? Did you just call timeout, say, I'm done, it's over? No, none of you said that. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. Those people aren't here. So knowing that, and I have too, that's what we do day in and day out. We fail, right? But in the end, I trust myself to come through for myself, right? Every time we have come through no money, through bad weather, through fires, through earthquakes, through everything, we land on our feet somehow. And all of you have done it before, and you have to have faith that you're going to do it again. And if you're going to look back on these days going, geez, I wish I would have acted more confident in that I was going to come through for myself instead of not, because if you're going to be afraid and you're going to be a wreck and you're going to be not leading during this time, guess who's watching you during this time? The people in your house. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and that's the key to leadership, Kelly, right? Everyone thinks leadership is somebody standing in front of you, thundering away. I'm your leader, do this. That is not leadership. My kids, this is the great example of leadership. And all of you parents out there, you know this. If I tell my kids to brush their teeth, right? They don't listen to what I say. They just do what I do. Right? That's how kids learn, but that's how everybody learns. Leaders don't tell you what to do. Leaders do it. They are the example of leadership. And then you do what the leader does. That's true leadership. So
that's so true. So true. I've seen that with diet programs with people. They say, "How my husband has this going on." And it's very simple. You have to lead by example. You can see that in all types of behavioral patterns throughout everything that we do in life.
Yep.
But you're right. Right now, we really have to take charge of this and say, I am going to choose to influence in a different way. I'm not going to be afraid. I'm not going to be sad. I'm not going to feel ambivalent. I'm not going to feel flat. I'm not going to feel any of those feelings. I'm going to go through this with my head up, and I'm going to lead. And that's what you're suggesting.
That you look, we are, everybody is dying, literally dying for somebody like you to show up. They're in your neighborhood. They're in your community. They're in your church. They're in your groups. They're your clientele. They are waiting for you to lead because they don't want to. And the minute they see you do that actively, like your body represents leadership, meaning I am going to stay cool in the eye of the storm because you have to. Look, you're like an elite quarterback at this point, right? You're like Tom Brady. You're like Drew Brees. Those guys don't get flustered.
No.
When the shit hits the fan, they love it even more. Aren't you and me the same way? Don't Don't you recognize?
Brother, we are. Yes, absolutely. And that's why we connected. That's why I connected with your family. I saw that through line throughout your family. Speak to everyone about the physiology in your body, because this is what I learned. So when I first learned from Bo, I was absolutely astounded at the performance of the body and how your body can actually talk your brain into things. So, you know, you really talk about, we hear things like owning a room, or maybe there's a physiology that carries through this leadership mindset. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, let me talk to you guys about that, because this is very, very critical at this time. Because again, I'll just remind you, no one's going to do what you say. They're only looking at your physical body to know what to do. Think about if a firefighter came into your house, a burning house, your house, and it's on fire, and he runs in or she runs in apologetically. Sorry to disturb you guys. I'm just going to put out the fire. Here we go. Okay. How good are you going to feel?
I'd sweat. I'd be sweating bullets.
That person is not a leader. That person's doesn't know how to put out a fire, for one, and they're not going to lead. Don't you love when people take charge of the room? Well, that's what you and me have to do. But you've got to surrender to one thing, and I know this might upset some of you, but for most of you, I'm going to remind you again of who you actually are, how Mother Nature made us, right? So for some of you, it's good news. For most of you, it's bad news, right? Because you're afraid of it. So this word predator, right? So this word predator has a bad connotation, doesn't it? And who gave it that bad connotation, do you suppose? Because any predator animal, let's go to predator animals as an example. Think of a great white shark. Think of a lion or a lioness. Think of a cheetah. Think of a falcon, eagle. All predators, right? Do you have a bad connotation to them? No. But if on the news every night they say, this guy is a predator, Harvey Weinstein, this person is a child molester, a predator. So they're given this, what I think is this most magnificent moniker that the human, that we have, you and me have, that we are, which is predator. So that means predators are noble and trustworthy. They are fierce. They are lethal for sure, right? But it's used in the correct way, not crossing boundaries, not like acting like an idiot, right? That's how the news has given this moniker to the worst of our society, right?
Yeah.
So now you and me are afraid to even surrender to what we naturally are, which is the fiercest predators on the planet. You and me. We are super predators, right? Ladies who are listening, if you're thinking this is a masculine conversation, you are 100% wrong. Because if you think I'm talking about masculinity, I want to introduce you to my mom. And I want to introduce you to or anybody who's had kids. Because you step in front of my dreams, my mom will take your throat out, even though she's 90 and feminine.
Oh, she can do it.
Right?
And beautiful, yes.
And Dawn will do the same, Kellyann will do the same, and you all know what I'm talking about. Men have a harder time with this predator conversation. We usually get it from elite athleticism or military or firefighting, something like that accesses it to us. But listen, this is the most powerful thing we got, this raw animal instinct that we have. And we're supposed to apologize for it. You cannot do that, especially now. Especially now, because people are watching you, whether it's like you can only see Kellyann and I from our torso up, right? So our physicality has got to be there. Our predatory nature is there. We don't have to think about it. It is dangerous. And it is attempting to make impact on people. And if you're going to apologize for what you already are, which is powerful, which is life-giving, then you are playing on the sidelines. You might as well never enter the arena. You've got to get over what the news says about predators, and you have to physicalize your life. And when you tell stories and when you talk, you actually, there's no separation between your body and your story. No separation.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. Is that why, because we have this sense of physicality, because we have this mind, this ability for this mindset potential, because the fact that we were even born alone is miraculous and amazing. Is that why that we have this ability to be adaptive? You call it adaptation. You mentioned it earlier. Can you talk a little bit about our natural inclination to adapt and kind of flow if we let it, if we listen and we let it?
Yep. So we're going to talk about adaptation, but I'm going to tell you, so us human beings, we're the best in the history of this planet at adaptation, right? At challenging homeostasis and improving to demanding situations and getting better. So human beings are the species that it gets better than any other species, faster. Okay? So think about this for a second. The one rule that you have to have if you are to get better, and I would use this time, you guys, right now to get better, where everyone else is like, upset. And I get it. I feel that way too, right? But I'm taking, as soon as they told me I'm going to be locked in my house for a month or 2 months, and they didn't give me any timelines, I said, put me in the friggin' house. You know why? Because I will create an environment in there of adaptation. And I will come out the other end with a skill that I didn't have. Bo will be better at whatever Bo wants to get better at. And so will each of my kids, and so will Dawn. But you guys, the reason people don't get better, here's the reason. They're afraid to leave their comfort zone. So we all reach all of us on here have reached a certain success level, or we wouldn't be on this call. We would be like, whining about something somewhere else. But us here, we had to reach a certain level of success. The only way you got that success was leaving your current capacity, which is your comfort zone. You left it back there and you entered a world you didn't know anything about, and you struggled. And then your body adapted and you improved and got better. And now here we are. So we reach a certain level of success, like whether it's a money or a marriage, whatever, a house, a car, you start to get fat and happy with your little success in your comfort zone, and you don't leave that comfort zone. Well, you have to leave that comfort zone to get better. You have to struggle. So just so you know, to get better, it's a biological necessity that you have to struggle outside your comfort zone.
When does the struggle stop? When does the struggle stop? There must be a point in time, Bo, where you say the struggle should stop. What about this? What about the mom who wants to help their child, or the wife who wants to help their husband, and they want to say, oh, it's going to be okay. It'll be okay. I mean, is there a place for that kind of passive nurturing that, because I noticed even with Dawn's very nurturing and lovely with your children. So is there a balance? And is she able to do that because you are kind of the frontline person who said, we're going to grow, okay, we're going to grow now. We have to feel a little pain. Do you have to consciously think about this pain, and where does the nurture come in? Because there's a part of me, I guess it's the Italian side speaking, that's saying, but you still have to say, oh, it's okay.
Oh, I'm not saying not to do that. And just so you know, Kellyann, so I'm looking around to see if Dawn's here. Probably listening somewhere. She's a lot tougher than me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm more the cheerleader. And there's not a theory, but this is true, right? So remind me of what your question was in a minute, but I just want to tell you what this thing. So, there's this thing, what we call Spartan moms, right? So here's how the theory goes. So every war that's ever been fought in the history of wars, right? So in the history of the world, so starting with the Spartans and their wars, they have been won not based on the strength of the men, but rather the strength of the women. Every war, think about the wars. And this is what I noticed about when I was in a different kind of war, which I called the NFL. So when you're in the NFL, it feels like war inside there, right? You feels like you could die out there. Sure. And I noticed that every guy that's in there, and there's only 45 of us at a time on a team, right? Every one of them had a Spartan mom. And Spartan moms don't buckle. They don't give way. They don't weep and despair and fall away. They stand strong, and that's the only way you can make it to the NFL. Now, the dads in the NFL, most of us don't have dads. So the dad isn't really as necessary as the Spartan mom. So that's why when you see an elite athlete on the sidelines and they put a camera in his face, what does he say? Hi, Mom. Does he ever say, hi, Dad? Never. And it's because if we're going to win this war, if this is indeed a war, it's going to be based on the women not buckling. So now let's get back to the nurturing part, right? 100%. What we honor in my family isn't the games, isn't the result of the games, so to speak, or the ballet or the contest. Here's what we honor: the struggle to show up and compete, the struggle that it took you to get to the level you're at to compete. And that's what we honor. So now when kids are going through struggle, which they have to, if their dreams are going to come true, you have to read this to your kids every night instead of those damn fairy tales. You read them this. For you to be the best in the world, for your dreams to come true, you're going to have to spend your days, every day of your life until you die, getting better. To get better, sweetheart, you have to struggle. There's no shortcuts. There are no prodigies. You are going to struggle. It is going to hurt, and you're going to get used to that struggle and the tears and the bloody knees and the bloody noses. And you're going to have to stand up during that struggle, and you're going to have to go forward somehow. That's the only way that God has set this thing up, that Mother Nature has set up. This is the game plan. Here it is, a biological necessity that you can't improve unless you're beyond your comfort zone, which is no fun. So we don't talk about fun. We talk about struggle. We honor struggle. And that's how we talk to our kids. And so for example, Kellyann, my son, Axel, who when he's like 8, he's working on ball handling drills. So he's actually dribbling a basketball. And the coach, who's a great coach, knows that Axel, to get better, because Axel's a good dribbler, right? So he can ball handle, he can dribble the ball. So he has to push him, even though he's 8 or 9, beyond his comfort zone, so that he has to dribble the ball so hard and so fast that he loses it every other dribble. So now he thinks he sucks. And me and the coach start smiling and start giggling, knowing it's the only way to the top. You have to suck. You have to cry. And he does. He cries. He cried at that age and threw up his arms, threw the ball across the court, and laid on the ground and cried. And me and the coach looked at each other, and secretly, Axel doesn't know we did this, we smiled. And we said, now he's got it.
Now he's got it.
As soon as he stops crying, guess what he's going to do? He's going to stand up, he's going to wipe away the tears, and he's going to re-enter the fray. He's going to re-engage, and he's going to learn the most important lesson of all of getting better and reaching world class is your day is filled with struggle.
struggle and practice, because one of the things that you always talk about is that practice is more important than performance. And I know that you told a story, is one of the first stories that I heard you tell, was about how you kind of sharpened your swords, and you really you kind of outsmarted everyone by simply practicing more. I mean, you wouldn't, so talk a little bit about practice and what it really does. I mean, we hear about that 10,000 hours, but speak to your experience.
Yeah. Oh, here's what's cool about the 10,000 hours. Since you brought it up, it's so good. Do you know that those 10,000 hours don't count unless you're outside of your current capacity? Meaning, with the diatribe that I just talked about struggle, about leaving your comfort zone, those hours don't count unless you're uncomfortable. Think about that. So if Axel just dribbles the ball like he knows how to for the rest of his life, like this, for 10,000 hours, do you think he's going to be the best NBA player on the planet? No, he's going to dribble like this for his whole life. He has to struggle. So think about it. It's so cool because once you realize this, you realize there's no competition out there. There's no one to compete with you because no one will leave their comfort zone. They're so scared. They hate struggle so much. And you have to fall in love with it. And your kids have to fall in love with it. So what was that question you asked right after that?
Well, I was asking a little bit of, I asked before about struggle, and do you have to consciously be aware of this struggle and say, okay, is it something that you just start achieving more? Do you have to say, I need more struggle. I'm starting to get complacent. I'm starting to feel that because I know for me personally, I start feeling like I get this feeling inside and I say, you know what? I need to grow. I'm starting to feel that flat line again, and I need to pop. I need to grow a little bit more. So is that what you do? So how do you tackle that in your life?
This is how it looks like practically. So when I was in New York performing the play, so that play I had to perform 1,300 times. And it's a one-man show that lasts for 90 minutes. So it's exhausting. So imagine doing that 1,300 times. That's just performance, right? That's not rehearsals, which was 90% more than that. Because like you said earlier, practice is everything. You practice a lot more than you perform. So I performed that play 1,300 times in about 16 years, right? Every single performance, people ask, how do you do it over and over again? How does it get better? How do you challenge yourself? What do you do? I say to myself, right before I take the stage, is I look at myself, because I'm the only one back there. I look at myself alone, and I'm ready to take the stage. I am nervous. I'm about to wet my pants.
Yes.
Every time. And I'm looking at myself and I go, you got this, man. And I'm talking to myself like, come on, 2-1. That was my number in football. I'm like, come on, 2-1. You got this, man. You got this. And then I would think of the greatest performers of all time. Yeah, Sir Ian McKellen, Sir, who would it be? Judi Dench, Sir Anthony Hopkins. I'm thinking of a guy who was married to Elizabeth Taylor twice. What was his name? I'm thinking of all the greatest stage actors that ever came before me. And I would look at myself and I'd go, I'm coming for you. Sir Richard Burton, I'm coming
Richard
for
Burton, that's it.
And tonight, he was married twice to Elizabeth Taylor. Isn't that
yes, twice.
But what a stage performer. And Sir Laurence Olivier. And I would look at them in the mirror, looking at myself, and I would go, I'm going to beat you. It might be for 1 minute tonight during this performance. I am going to be the greatest stage performer, maybe for 1 minute, maybe for 2 minutes, maybe for a half hour. I'm going to do it. And that's how I challenge myself each night to compete against myself and the greats that christened the stage way before I was even born. And that's what you always must do, because there's going to become a time, if you do what I'm saying, or more importantly, just do what I do, there's going to come a time for all of you and there's no way around this. This is science. You're going to reach the top. You're going to be world class in your field. It can't not happen if you follow these rules.
And you still go for the struggle. Even when you get there, you still go for the struggle.
You have to, because when you get to the top, Kellyann, that's what I was just about to say. When you get to the top, there's no competition. No one will struggle as much as you, right? So then you have to start competing with yourself. And that's where I want you. That's what Michael Jordan had to invent competition, because he was so much better than everyone else. Or Tiger Woods at one point was better than everyone else. Or Al Pacino at one time was better than everyone else. And Mikhail Baryshnikov was better than everyone else. Who was he going to compete with? He had to look at himself in the mirror and say, I am going to beat your last performance. And he's looking at himself. Imagine that. And that's where the struggle will never go away. And then on your dying day, you will die. On that last breath, you will die an honorable death and an honorable life, instead of the rest of the people who will say this. They will die with regret and shame with how they behaved during that minor little time during the coronavirus that they somehow came out of and dominated just like they always do. And they struggled and they made their money back and they were with the right person. That's why story is so related to being the best at these things. And you guys, I'm so glad, in a way, I'm not glad, but we're using this time right now that we have together that we probably wouldn't have together. We're taking advantage of this hour that we have together that we probably wouldn't have had and wouldn't have been thinking of these things.
We'd be running all over. We'd be in this state, that state, or on this plane or that plane. Likely that's what would be playing out.
That's right. And now because look, you and me are going to struggle for the rest of our lives anyway, aren't we? Kind of accidentally.
There's zero probability of that not happening. Zero.
So it might as well be your own creation, right? You take on your own creation. You take on your own obstacles because you created them.
Yeah, and then what about, you also talk a lot about creating the environment around you. Why is your environment so important to really creating your life story?
Oh, because look, you're going to die of exhaustion if you don't build an environment, especially your home environment. If you don't, so our home environment, you've been in our home, Kellyann, so it's built that it takes dreams dead serious. Dead serious. So amateurs or dream busters, some of you might call them, they're not allowed in the house. Right?
Somehow I believe that. I really believe that.
Yeah, so the food that comes into the house, the food that is prepared is all matching the environment of dreams coming true. So our physical fitness, the gym, there is an environment in our house that is built for us to be the best in the world at our given dreams. Here is the problem. People usually don't build an environment. In fact, their environment opposes their dream.
Yes.
So a simple one would be for me to be lose 15 pounds. Say that's a part of my dream. I have to have the most elite body and performance system. And there's a big chocolate cake right in the middle of the kitchen, sitting there all day, every day. Is that good environment for my dreams to come true?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
not. So that goes away. And that includes people. People.
So true.
What gym, what does it look, how is it constructed? Sleep, right? So for us to achieve being the best in the world at our given things, sleep is huge, right? We all know sleep's huge based on all the science lately, right? So that's huge. Recovery we have to be superstars at recovery. So what do we have in our house? Recovery modalities everywhere. You know what I mean? Like ice, heat, compression boots, you know, we have body workers, chiropractors, nutrition, supplements. Everything is so that our dreams will fulfill on themselves. And you and me, me, Axel, Dawn, Lila, Eloise, we're not getting our ass kicked, our willpower kicked by having to struggle by opposing forces.
Yes, yes. And I know even your daughter Eloise is becoming a chef.
Yes.
I mean, you're creating an environment in your home for her dream to come true.
Yes.
So it's all part and parcel. It's all parcel.
And this is how we do it. Our kitchen is made for her to be the top pastry chef in the world, because that was the original one. She was like pastry chef. So Dawn, you know, as soon as Eloise says that, this was a couple of years ago, Eloise must have been like 13 or something. Dawn puts her on a plane to Portland to work, to wake up at 4 in the morning in a bakery. The bakery is run by the James Beard Award winner for pastry. Pastry chef. So now Eloise is learning that being a pastry chef is not easy. You're waking up at 4 in the morning, you're covered with flour, you're getting your ass kicked, you're failing again and again. And she learned morning after morning after morning that this is no glory ride, right? This is hard to be the best at this thing. To win the James Beard Award as a pastry chef, that is a grind.
Extraordinary, yeah. So though, natural talent, is there natural talent?
If you watch the media, and that goes for like sports media, you know, fashion media, every sector of media, they love this idea of prodigies. They are in love with natural talent. And science will tell you the godfather of the study, 30-year study on what it takes to be world class. Anders Ericsson wrote a book called Peak. 30 years.
Peak, yes.
Right? So good. I love this. I love science. You know why I love scientists? You know, for one, they got me through school. You know, I looked at their curriculum, got through chemistry. But for two, but you know what
I do.
The thing I love most about scientists is they prove to me that I was doing the right thing 30 years ago, before I knew the science. Because science takes a long time, right? Well, if you want to be the best safety in the world, you can't wait for science. You got to go. You know what I mean? So the science is always behind the performer, right? But science tells us that there is no such thing as a prodigy, and there is no such thing as a shortcut. Think about it. And yet, turn on ESPN tonight. Do this for me. Turn on sports TV. It's sports, right? So turn it on, and their first thing out of their mouth, I guarantee you, is going to be, "That's LeBron James. He's gifted. You're not."
Always.
That's Tom Brady. He has it in his genes. You don't. And if you look at those two guys who I just used as an example, life, that is a lie. That is a bold-faced lie, just so the commentator doesn't have to feel bad about them being lazy. It takes everything you got, all this hard work, and they're going to devalue it with one sentence. And listen to this, Kellyann, if that's true, so say it's true. You're either gifted or you're not. Okay, say that's true. What kind of game do you have to play now? If you're not gifted, what game are you going to play now? You got no game. You got nothing to say. You're just going to sit on your butt and you're going to watch ESPN telling you that you're not gifted. And then you're going to go, yeah, here, let me have another beer. I guess I'm not gifted like they are. Oh, darn, let me have 6 more beers just to prove that I'm mediocre. And that's not how we were made. That person just got off on the rails. He doesn't realize who he is. He's not flying with Mother Nature. He's an opposing force on Mother Nature. He's trying to prove he's mediocre, and guess what? He's going to win that battle. He will win the battle of mediocrity because he's out to prove it. Because, oh, I didn't have that kind of family. I wasn't born with money. I was born overweight. Whatever the thing is, there is no such thing as a prodigy. There is no such thing as a shortcut.
And I agree with that wholeheartedly. When you were in the NFL, I know that you said that when you were doing your play that you did get nervous every time. You got a little nervous. How about when you were in the NFL and you had to play these big stadiums, these big games, there's all this pressure. Did you feel nerves? I mean, have you constantly been pushing past feeling those jitters or that nervousness? Do you feel that when you go on stage still, or does it ever go away?
In a word, yes, I felt it every time. And I even told my son this the other day because he gets nervous before games. I said, as soon as you're not getting nervous, or what we call butterflies or nerves or anxious or whatever what word you want to say, as soon as those aren't there, you quit. It's over for you. That is appropriate. That is your body telling you you're about to do something that is necessary and that you should do. Kellyann, I played with I played for two teams, the Houston Oilers and the San Francisco 49ers. Those two teams, I think, if I don't have the statistics in front of me, but I can't think of any other teams that had more Hall of Fame players on the same team as those two teams. I was on both those teams. So I saw that means you're the best of 100 years of the NFL. So let me tell you, the greatest players in the history of the NFL, which is 100 years, the greatest players, I know them. I played alongside them. I will tell you without a doubt that those guys were the most nervous. They were more nervous than the mediocre players on our team. Isn't that crazy to think?
That's fascinating. That's fascinating.
They were the ones who we had one guy on our team, and he was, just so you know, if I said his name, you would all know it. It's a household name. When he threw up, when he puked in the locker room, we knew it was kickoff time. It was like clockwork. When he threw up, I guess we're ready to play. Let's go, fellas.
Well, that mindset and having that kind of mindset to propel you forward and forward and forward, I believe that probably started for you, and it started for you at a very young age. So, I mean, did you just wake up one morning and or did it take time over time as a child? And when you have this type of mindset and you do dare to be great, you dare to be great in such an extraordinary level, was it hard for you to have friendships and normal quote friendships along the way, or was it tough because you do stand out at different? I mean, I know for me, and I tell the story, when I'm going to the beach, I would read my nutrition novels and things, and that was enjoyment. I drove everybody absolutely bonkers. When are you going to just read Sidney Sheldon, or stop it with this? But it was who I was and who I am, and so it does make it a little bit challenging for people to always embrace that.
Oh, yeah, both of those things are true. So this is what I have found. I've attempted to be the best in the world at one thing 4 times in my lifetime so far. So 4 times, right, to reach the pinnacle of that discipline. Every time the same thing happens, every time. People go with you to the top. Who would have never gone? They would have never thought to play pro football or to be a playwright or to be a stage.
Yes.
But since you were doing it and you had this dream and you were doing the work, they just decided, hey, I'll just go with them. And they ended up being the best. In the NFL, if you can imagine the odds of that happening. It happened to me in football. It happened to me in performance. It happened to me in speaking. It happened to me in writing. People go with you. That's so fun. because that's what you would call a hotbed of talent. And there's hotbeds of talent all throughout the world, whether it's a swimming pool in North Baltimore that's had more gold medals than any other swimming pool in the world. And the swimming pool was shitty and cracked, and the locker room was dirty and messy, and there was nothing special about it. Well, the most #1 female tennis players come from one crappy tennis court in Russia with the nets falling down. How could that be? All the fastest men and women in the world come from a tiny island of Jamaica, and they don't even have a track. They train on grass that's uneven and unmowed. How could this happen? This happens because one person has a dream, and then a group of people ride that wave all the way to world class. So you will keep those people with you. On the other hand, Kellyann, you will leave people behind. Because like you, I don't know if you went to the prom, but I wanted to play pro football. And somewhere in my head, I thought that if I went to the prom, that I couldn't be a pro football player. I would be wasting my time dating and going to the prom, and instead I would train. So I figured in my head, every other guy that wants to be the best safety in the world is now at the prom. And what am I gonna do during those hours? I'm gonna do push-ups. I'm gonna run backwards. And so people that are around you, certain friends, will then leave you during those times, right? Because they think you're crazy for one, which you kind of are, right?
Yeah, in a good way.
It's what it takes. Some go with you and some leave you.
And you have to be okay with that and just know who you are. And you learn over time. You become bulletproof over time. So speaking of time, we're almost out, and this has been incredible. And I have learned so much from you. But Bo, what would you say? So just picture now the people that are watching this and how they're feeling in their home, and they're now feeling inspired, no doubt. They have all those hormones running through their body. They feel good. What can they do tomorrow to really realize that creating their dreams or their dream life can start tomorrow, can start immediately?
Yep. The very first thing I would do is declare. Make a declaration no different than the Declaration of Independence. Declare what you want to be the best at. And you have to use those words, the best at, and fill in the blank. And I don't care what it is, because it works every time. I don't care what the discipline is. It works every time. But listen, once you make this declaration, your life now is not about the way you feel. It is about the declaration. It is about your commitments. So I'll give you a quick example. If you base your marriages or your relationship to your significant other on the way you feel, how well do you think that marriage is going to go? If you base your marriage on the feelings that you have, like, I love him, I hate him, I love him, he's an asshole, he's great, the worst. So that's your feelings, right? So your feelings are going like a roller coaster. So if you want that kind of life, you ain't reaching the top anyway, right? So people who base their life on their feelings have a lot of drama and distraction in their lives, and they can never reach the top because they're never on course. Base your life on your commitments, which is that. So that's the commitment, regardless of how Bo feels. You understand? So no longer is your life about the drama and the feelings that you're having. Now, I'm not saying your feelings don't count. They count, but they don't run your life. Your commitment runs your life.
That's brilliant.
If you'll get that distinction, and every time you're basing your commitments on your feelings, you know you're out of bounds. Get back on the field. Get back on your commitments. Because look, regardless of how Dawn and I feel about each other right now, guess what? We're staying married. You know what I mean?
How many people can you really say? I can say in publicly that you will be married to Dawn forever. I mean, that's it. And you just know, and it's your sense of commitment. And you're so right now that you put it in words. It's not about the mountain and valleys. It's about a commitment to the whole picture, the whole thing. And it's not about flying off the seat of your pants with emotions.
That's right.
Work that way. Nothing works that way.
Yep. But those
Evaluate anything where I didn't achieve the highest, it was because of that.
Yep. Those feelings and those emotions, I'm not discounting them. I'm saying they are like rocket fuel to get you to the top if you put them in the right place, right? Those feelings aren't making your decisions. Your commitment is. The feelings are fueling. The emotion is fueling that rocket ship to go to the top.
Well, I thank you so much for all this amazing information. And, we set an intention that we really wanted to help everyone feel so empowered this evening. We both want that for you. We're committed to that, and that is our purpose, to help you get through the tunnel. And we hope that we have. And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Bo. It's been a wonderful guest.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you, Kellyann.
Thank you. And please join us on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursdays for Doctors Night Out. Tuesday and Friday and Saturday, we have our Quick Flash at noon. So join us, and we will see you again on Doctors Night Out. Thank you, Bo.